The volume of kicks that he's taken to the legs into the body. I mean, the volume of kicks that he's taken to the legs into the body.
About 40% of MMA matches end due to a fighter being injured. And that's why before a fight is about to happen, fighters go through something called the fight or flight response. It's essentially a sequence of hormonal changes that helps someone either fight a threat or flee to safety. The amygdala, which contributes to emotional processing, sends a distress signal to the hypothalamus. In reaction to danger, the eyes and the ears send the information to the amygdala, which interprets the images and sounds. When it perceives danger, it instantly sends a distress signal to the hypothalamus. Changes happen so quickly that people aren't aware of them. In fact, the wiring is so efficient that the process starts before the brain's visual centers have had a chance to fully understand what's happening. That's why people are able to jump out of the path of an oncoming car even before they think about what they're doing. Researchers have actually analyzed karate players before fights and can predict 92% of the time the winners or losers just based off their mood scores before a fight. Winners scored higher on emotions like anger and self-confidence and lower on depression and confusion. Language also plays an emotional role in fighting, and as we know, both McGregor and Diaz are big trash talkers. Researchers have used something called the language inquiry and word count, which classifies words into categories. They found a positive correlation between the fighters using words conveying positive emotions, words focusing on health and hard work, with winning the fight. Fighters go through something called cage reality. When the door to the octagon closes, they have no other choice but to fight. They score abnormally high on stress levels until they go through something called facilitative arousal adjustment. This happens at the beginning of each fight, and when a fighter is first struck, it calms them down. The fighter tends to accept pain as normal aspects of competition, but have emphasized the danger of grappling joint locks that could disable them for long periods of time. Fighters tend to view their opponents as respected peers and understand the physical sacrifices of all MMA athletes. Generally, they appear to hold no malice for their opponent or fault them for their injuries. The further up and out a fighter lands on the graph, the more impressive it is. McGregor has beaten his opponents by maintaining nearly the best power striking accuracy in his class and has also mixed power into his precise barrage of strikes. McGregor is a southpaw who uses a very wide and unorthodox stance, which has his opponents backing up. This draws his opponents into his range. His power strikes make up 78% of his head strike volume. For a long time now, it's been well documented that with repeat head trauma, CTE emerges. This is what people used to call punch drunk. It normally begins with some sort of headache and dizziness, but tends to lead to more severe disorienting symptoms.
I'm feeling great, feeling wonderful. For what's about to take place tonight with the new promotion by Damon Feldman. Champions of tomorrow. I'm looking forward to a good.
The athlete here isn't making much sense. This is the stage where memory loss, mood swings, and difficulty concentrating begins. Another problem that emerges is lack of impulse control and aggression. In MMA, the number of incidents that result in traumatic brain injuries is the highest among other equally dangerous sports. Michael G. Hutchinson, a professor of kinesiology at the University of Toronto, analyzed the areas where fighters tend to get the most hits during a typical MMA fight. The majority comes from the mandibular, or lower jaw, the maxillary, or upper jaw, and the temporal lobe. Researchers at the Lou Ruvo Center for Brain Health performed a study that calculated the fighter's FES, or Fight Exposure Score, which tallies up the duration and intensity of a fighter's career. As FES scores rise, the fighter's brain volume diminishes. Two areas particularly affected long-term are the thalamus, which controls motor and language function, and the caudate nucleus, which impacts memory, learning, and the ability to make decisions. They also have reason to believe that the degeneration of this area contributes to Parkinson's disease. On top of all that, many fighters often fight off depression after major losses. A current top heavyweight, Alexander Gustafsson, even considered quitting after his loss to Anthony Johnson, saying, "I was thinking about that, to quit the sport. I was really depressed after the fight." Or even the more widely known Ronda Rousey.
I was like in the medical room and I was like down in the corner. I was sitting in the corner and I was like, what am I anymore if I'm not this? And I was literally sitting there and like thinking about killing myself, and that exact second I'm like, I'm nothing. I'm like, what do I do anymore? And
if all this is on the line, why do it? Maybe for people like Connor, whose purse has steadily risen in recent years from only $8,000 at his first event all the way up to $500,000 at UFC 194, money is a reason. But while it may be a contributing factor, it can't be the main reason. The average salary in the UFC is $34,000, with most fighters only making a lifetime earning of about $38,000. What it's really about is the glory.
To the back of Dave Hill.
Dave Hill has never been submitted.
It's a
He's
lot of
never been
pressure.
stopped. There it is.